All right, nothing but hard choices here today because we are comparing the Glock 45 MOS to the Walther PDP. Well, thanks for tuning back in. If this is your first time here, welcome to the channel. So the Walther PDP and the Glock 45 MOS. Nothing but hard choices here, like I said. So if you've never seen one of these before, what we are gonna do is we are gonna cover the specs on both of these. We're gonna go through the options that they have, what differs between them, talk about that performance, reliability, durability, and of course, if there is one that kind of stands out as compared to the other. So bear in mind that these are my personal opinions on how I like these, and your opinion or the opinions of others may differ. Just want to help you guys out if you are trying to decide between one of these or the other. So we're gonna go ahead and get right into the specs on these things, show them to you up close so you can see the differences right after a word from today's sponsor. Today's video is brought to you by Groove Life, who brings you accessories for your adventurous and outdoor-minded lifestyle. Whether you're looking for a simple, breathable silicone ring, if you're looking for replacement straps for that watch, or a smooth, comfortable belt that flexes and stays comfortable all day long. Whether you're looking for something because you're a fisher, a camper, a hiker, or somebody who just likes to spend time outdoors with your significant other, Groove Life has you covered with comfortable options you can wear all day long. They carry a 94-year warranty that you can count on should the time ever come. Check them out at the link below and get a special discount. All right, so we're gonna get into the side-by-side of the Glock 45 MOS and the Walther PDP Optics Ready. So we're gonna go over the main specs on these things, and then we'll go ahead and kind of compare them side by side, piece by piece, so you guys have a really good idea of what is going on. Let's go ahead and start with the Walther right here. So the Walther will come with 18-round steel magazines. The new versions have blue followers. Originally they had like a pink or kind of orange follower. And I think they're sending 3 mags. If not, there's actually an upgrade program for your original mags. They'll give you the blue followers, the springs, and they'll give you an additional 3rd magazine. If you go on their website, you get it for free, shipped free, check it out. As far as the Walther PDP, the Performance Duty Pistol, this one is a 9mm striker fired polymer frame and obviously a steel slide. So we have a total slide length here of 7 inches. Total overall length of the pistol is going to be 7.5. And then we have a width here of 1.34 inches. So it is a little bit of a wide pistol, but that is totally fine. Barrel length in this one is going to be 4 inches. There are other variants available should you be interested in it. You have a sight radius of 6.4 inches if you're interested in knowing that. And we have a weight without the magazine of 21.5, a weight with a magazine of 24.6 ounces. Not bad at all. And they say the factory trigger is about 5 pounds. Mine was a lot lighter than that, but the trigger in the Walthers, get it out of the way, far superior to anything that Glock has on their offerings. So now that we know the basic specs on the PDP, let's talk about the basic specs here on the Glock 45 MOS. So as with this Glock, this is what they call the crossover short slide full length grip. So you will get 3 steel polymer covered magazines that are 17 rounds. Glock mags are known for being extremely durable. Again, 9mm striker fired. This is their 4-inch barreled version. We have a weight here without the magazine, 21.73, weight with the magazine of 24.52. So a slide length here, actually total length here of 7.44 inches, slide length of 6.85 It is 1.34 inches in total width. The slide itself is exactly 1 inch wide. So let's take these apart piece by piece, kind of side by side, and go from magwell to muzzle, from the feeder to the spitter here. So we're going to see on the Gen 5, we do have a factory flared magwell, but I do have the SLR magwell on here because I really like having magwells. Whereas on the Walther PDP, we have just kind of a more traditional base on the pistol grip. It does have some chamfered edges in there, but it's not really going to be like the factory Glock kind of flare is. You can actually see right in there, you can see the amount of flare that the Glock has on the inside of the mag as compared to the Walther, where it's pretty flat. So moving up from there, we do get interchangeable back straps. The Walthers are like an insert that pops up in there, whereas the Glock ones kind of snap over the back. But we'll go ahead and we will compare these two grip textures. The Glock is kind of just that button stipple pattern, you know, very uniform throughout, where the Walther has kind of it's almost like a double kind of circular pattern. And it's had a lot of high point in the middle, and then it's like an octagon around that, or a circular pattern. And it is extremely grippy as compared to the factory Glock pattern on here, which is why tons of people go to the aftermarket for stippling. Moving up from there, you're going to see the Walther is quite a bit wider right here on the back strap area. So as you have these in your hand like this, the Walther, you can see on the right here, just grabs so much more meat out of the web of my hand as compared to the Gen 5 45. You can kind of see how much wider that is. And that's going to help you control recoil, but it's also going to be a little bit wider should you be thinking about sharing this or using this for not only like a regular belt carry, but also in the waistband style carry. Moving up from there, let's just take a good look at these Walther serrations. So these are actually, they're not cut into the slide, they're extruded out of it, and they're just monstrous. I mean, look how deep those things are. I mean, there's no way you're missing these, but they're not to the point where they tear up your hand. So the serrations, absolutely awesome. Glock, it's going to be the typical kind of small, straight, linear cut in lines, but they are very usable. There's absolutely nothing wrong with those. We're going to have ambidextrous slide stop, slide release on both of these pistols. As you can see there, the Walthers is quite a bit longer, and I did find myself once or twice having an accidental activation of this just because I was not used to the pistol. Pretty big difference on the magazine release right there. Standard kind of rectangle Glock, and then we have a nice circular magazine release right here on the Walther. A little bit easier to depress, and it's a little bit more meat to grab onto, whereas I find myself on the Glock, it's a little bit more of a kind of a forward push rather than straight in, because there's a lot of flex right here in the Glock magazine release. Trigger guards, you have a wide area right here up underneath the trigger guard on the Walther, where the Glock is pretty flat. You're going to have some pretty decent rounding off here, and then a little kind of safety edge so you don't accidentally hit the magazine release on the Walther. And then the Glock is just pretty straightforward, pretty squared off. Not much work done rounding it off. Going forward, they're both squared off at about the same point out, but you're going to have much more room here for your finger on the Walther than you will on the Gen 5 45 MOS. It's a very, very tight trigger guard. You can see there's barely enough room for my finger in there to move at all. So whereas the Walther, you got plenty of room should you be coming off the side of this pistol at a weird angle to get your finger in there and start putting rounds down range. Takedown levers are very, very similar on these. Moving forward from there, we have a single 1913 size rail here on the 45 and a multi-slot rail for the Walther, so that's generally a little bit better because you have good options. The Walther here takes several different sights, but they actually have the same, as you can see right there, Glock pattern in the rear. So very cool they did that, because there are a ton of sights out there for the Glock, so you can put whatever you want on there. That's pretty much the basics and the big differences between these two. You're gonna have external extractors on both of them. Well, let's go ahead and talk about the performance of these two, if there's one that stands out as compared to the other, and of course, the cost on these things. All right, there is a lot to think about between these two, but let's go with Old Faithful first. That's gonna be the 45 MOS. So when we talk about this, we know it's durable, we know it's reliable, it carries the Glock name, so we know those things are good to go. The ergonomics on the Glock are just not the best for every one of us out there. It's got a really harsh grip angle that causes you to have to really force forward like that with your wrists, and that just doesn't work with some people. As far as the functionality of this thing, it's almost unrivaled in the market today. Think of how many thousands of people have used these, from millions probably, law enforcement to military to self-defense, security, and just so many people out there carrying them on the street. The huge positive for the Glock, besides what we've already talked about, is going to be just the absolutely huge aftermarket accessories, parts, and availability of custom work that you can get done on these things. It's pretty much unrivaled, except for maybe the AR, because there are just so many companies making parts and so many companies doing stipple work and slides and pretty much anything else you can think of to check out your Glock. All right, so moving on to the Walther, the PDP, the Performance Duty Pistol that they have named every little piece of this on, from Performance Duty Trigger, Performance Duty Pistol, Performance Grip Texture. They really tried to stuff that performance name into everything they can. But I will say this, the grip texture is probably only second to the M&P grip texture. So the Smith & Wesson M&P has an amazing grip texture that is probably my favorite. This is a very close second. It's extremely grippy to keep a hold of out there on the range, especially if you're in the heat and sweating. Now, talking about the ergonomics on this thing, absolutely awesome. Much flatter profile on that grip, much more natural to bring up and aim. And the trigger on these things right out of the box is just light years past what Glock can offer based on how their trigger is designed. But the PDP does not have as much time in the game as the Glock does. So as far as the durability, reliability, it's been 100% for me, but only time is gonna tell, can it keep up with the Glock? And that's something that's gonna be seen in the future. The one cool thing I will add about the PDP is its modular setup. So they're gonna begin selling different frames and slides, because you can put the slides on all of the different frames and the frames with all of the different slides. So it has that adaptability, kind of like the SIG does. So you can kind of swap the slide to a longer one, a shorter one, or the compact frame or the full-size frame, which is absolutely awesome. And Walther is also actively working with a bunch of other companies to provide aftermarket accessories, which is really cool because we all know that Glock wants nothing to do with doing anything like that, especially while Gaston is still in charge. So what is the ultimate price difference between these two? So I looked these up just before filming the video. The Glock is gonna come in right around $650 is where the kind of vast prices that I saw on them, whereas the Walther PDP I saw right at $600. So there's a little bit of a difference there. However, with the Glock, you will get all of the plates for most of the big name optics out there. And the Walther PDP, you're gonna have to ask them to send you whichever specific plate you want or go to the aftermarket. They will provide you one for free per pistol, but you don't get all of them, kind of like the Glock does. But if you know anything about Glock, their plates are really not that good, and a lot of people go to the aftermarket anyways. So let's talk about the performance. Now that 45 MOS was my main squeeze for some time. It is my favorite model on Glock's platform. But when it comes down to range performance, natural ergonomics, and my ability to run that pistol without having to even think about it, it comes to the Walther PDP for me. Again, like I said up front, these are my personal opinions, but I find the Walther just so much more natural, especially the magazine release and the controls, as compared to the Glock. The Glock always has my wrists at a really forward and stuck angle, which my wrists just don't like. I've had a lot of damage to my wrists and hands over the years from everything I've done in life, and you may suffer some of those same things. But having that super canted forward wrist angle just doesn't work for me, whereas the Walther allows me to be in a very natural and neutral position And I just seem to just run the thing much, much easier when I really have to think about the angles I'm working with, especially on like magazine exchanges when it comes to the Glock. Now, when it comes down to making a choice between one of these two, it's always up to you. Remember, take everything anybody on the internet says with a grain of salt. You have got to get these things in your hand and take them for a test drive so you can see which one works for you. The Glock may fit you much better, the Walther may fit you much better, and one you might find on a super sick deal out there somewhere, and that could be the determining factor. But either way, I hope that helped you guys out. I hope you liked seeing the side-by-side of the Walther and the G45. And that is what I've got for you guys today. So if you guys are interested, get subbed up, get belled up. If you want to see anything here today, I left links at the build list. You can check that stuff out. All those do help the channel. Huge thank you to my Patreons. You guys get out there, have some fun on the range. Remember, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. I will see you guys on the next one.